Awesome. Thank you very much, Grace, for joining me today on the Cross Border Stories, a Pay for Me podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Very, very great today. It's sunny.
Yeah, it's always, it's always nice when it's sunny. So,
Yeah.
where you joining us from today?
I'm joining from Utah, Salt
Utah,
Lake, or Utah.
Salt
That's,
Lake
that,
City,
that's,
RM,
that's for
Utah.
sure.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to, give a brief intro about you, and then, afterwards, if there's anything else you'd like to share with us, feel free to add that. So Grace is a graduate, a computer science graduate from Brigham Young University, Idaho. She is a software engineer. She, built products and, excitingly, loves to work on new technology. And we're super excited to have you here, Grace.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to, add to us about your introduction and, um,
Uh, Nothing new apart from the fact that I'm already going to get my master's in a couple of weeks. I should start my master's, but that's by the way.
that's exciting. So what are you getting your master's in?
With the market, I think with the tech market moving off to like nowadays, people are trying to hire like engineers
Hmm.
offshore. They are not trying to hire engineers who are in the US because of cost efficient,
Hmm.
like being cost efficient based on
Yeah.
the product. So I'm going to data science and I want to focus more on AI and machine learning. I don't know yet if I'm going to do well, but let's see how that goes.
Hey, but at least you're willing to try, right? That's interesting. So do you know what college you're going to yet?
University of Cumberland, Kentucky.
Okay, that's interesting. Why the University of Cumberland, Kentucky?
And why I chose Kentucky, like Cumberland, is that one, it's executive hybrid. I don't have to be on campus. I don't even have to live on campus to do it. Have to be on campus a couple of days. Like they set up your schedule, days that you have to be on campus every semester, and then you
Mhm.
go in and take classes in class. But the rest of the semester, you don't really need to be on campus. That's why I chose it.
That's pretty cool. I think I like that. It allows you to be able to do other things, while you're still in the program. I like that. I think Kentucky is really cold though. I don't think I've been to Kentucky, but I think it's a cold place.
It's more like Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. So better
It's
than Rex.
2 hours away from Indiana.
Okay, so better than
Right.
Rexburg, you think?
Oh, it's
Well, I
still the
guess you'll
same
find out.
college town.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so cool.
it's really quiet. Like the one time I went to Kentucky, it was really quiet. I was like, okay,
Mm, cool.
well, it's more trees, more
Mhm.
rain, I guess.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
So, taking a step back, right? It's interesting to learn that you're going to, do your master's. You want to do data science and maybe emphasis in on AI.
Mhm.
So I want to take a step back, right, to your undergrad. So you
Okay.
study computer science, right, at
Yeah.
Brigham Young University, Idaho, BYU, Idaho, as we call it. So why did you go to BYU, Idaho for your undergrad?
Honestly, me going to BYU Idaho was basically it was a church school and I just came back from mission and I was like, okay. And one thing that made me choose BYU Idaho was that that was the only school my dad would have let me go to.
Hmm.
Because, growing up, my dad always wanted us to go to school like from home. He didn't want us to like live far away from him. He'll always tell you, oh, why do you have to go to this place? There's a house here, there's a school here, just go to that one there. But that moment I wanted to have my own independence, like being able to make my own like choices and the decisions of my own life. I think that would then it was like one of the coolest things to do as someone who's growing up. You're like, I want to do my own thing, my own self.
Hmm.
I don't want people to decide what I'm doing for myself.
Yeah.
And choosing BYU Idaho was basically because of the values and the cultures that resonate with me. So when I went to BYU Idaho, that was one of the things, and it was really a good opportunity for me to go down there for my undergrad. Um,
That's
I didn't know much about what I was going to like what I was going into like my degree. I was
Mhm.
just like I've done a little bit of coding here and there, like Code Academy. I knew of Code Academy back in Nigeria. Like when like I'll go on website and I'll type and I'll just find like Code Academy. Then they used to be free. They didn't even have
Mhm.
to pay for it. You just do it and just go. And most people didn't take it serious, but I
Mhm.
did most of it. And that was one of the things that made me choose like my specific like um
Sure.
degree, yeah, career part.
Cool. Thank you. So, you going to BYU Idaho was mostly, you know, something that aligned well with your like religious background, family values, etc.
Yeah.
And choosing your program was more of, an interest. So you'd
Yeah.
mentioned that, you did Code Academy while you were back in Nigeria. So you originally from Nigeria, right?
Yes.
So, how did you decide, while you were in high school, while you were on your religious mission, serving the church, how did you decide that the United States was, kind of like where you wanted to go, and what kind of how did you start the process of going to school in the US?
Okay. I think one of the things that made me decide was a friend, very close friend of ours was going to BYU Idaho, and looking at it over time in the society that we grew up in, when you go to the United States, like abroad, that's what they call it, to
Yeah,
study, and then you
putting
come back.
abroad, yeah.
Yeah, when you come back, it's like, oh, you're the hot cake. You're the one that people want to, talk with,
Hire or talk
hire
to.
and everything, or even be in charge of their establishment. So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, going to the United States will give me that edge when I come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second question was what did I ask?
The second question was, the process, how was it
Okay.
like, just getting started with the whole process?
Okay. So I think one of the first process was I asked my friend who was going and I was like, oh, how did you go through the and then I don't know what the school uses now to apply for school. Then it used to be one link, besmart.com.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, she's
I,
told me this is the link, go use it. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. And then I used the besmart and then I started like filling out my applications. And then when I started off, I didn't even tell my dad. I didn't tell him. It was a couple of months I was on mission and I called him and I told him about it. And he was like, he wasn't excited about
Mhm.
it. So we kind of had like an argument that day and I was like, okay, it's fine. And I dropped the conversation. It was like a few weeks that I was going to come back from mission, we had that conversation again.
Mhm.
And that was when it kind of like went into like a full-blown trouble. Like he was like, okay, when can you apply? So we started the
All that stuff.
application. Yeah. I did my so with BYU, you have to do series of documentation of some sort. You have to do the IARF. That is where you take your YA results and then you send it to this company organization. It's called I think they called it International Education Evaluation, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
International Education Foundation. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so you send your documents, your WIAC documents to them, and then they will evaluate it based on the US cumulative GPA. And you have to make certain payments. So we made that payment. But that was when Nigeria, I think some of the cross-border payments platform were cutting down on their transactions in Nigeria. Like
Mhm.
Western Union was no longer working. ManyGram, then the domiciliary account that people were using to make transactions, they dropped the amount to like $100
Mhm.
limit per day. And it was so hard to make those payments. So We reached out to some friends that we knew to kind of help us out. And after the evaluation, you have to take TOEFL.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to prep for TOEFL, go take the exams. And my exams took me the whole day. Most people did theirs like batch by batch, the
Mm-hmm.
first segment, but me, I took my own the whole day. I haven't eaten since morning till like 5 p.m. I was worn out. And I took the exams like 2 weeks after, I think I took it in, I got back in March. I took it in around April or May. I can't remember. I think it was a few days before my birthday. I took the exam. After I came back in March, I went back to Lagos and stayed with a family friend to do a 4 week intensive training on TOEFL.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, why don't you just, take like 3 months to study? I was like, no, if I take 3 months to study, I don't think I'm gonna like do it.
I gotta do this. I gotta
Yeah,
get it out of the way.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have to cram it all together. So I did it 4 weeks and then came back and took the exam somewhere in Port Harcourt. And when we got there and everyone was there, every single person was still reading in the morning. And I said, and someone told me before I went that I shouldn't take any book there. So
Mm-hmm.
every other person was reading. And I was the only one with nothing apart from my international passport and my, the paper that shows that I've registered for the
Yeah,
exam.
registered for the exam.
So
Yeah.
I was the only one, registered, like the only one, I think I was the youngest person there. Because I don't even know. I saw people that were older than me, like 50, 30. I was scared. So after the exams, I think it took them 10 days to send me the result and all that. And after they sent me the result, they sent it to the school. And I think sent it around, I think ending of May. And then in June or July, I got my admission. Is it September? Something like September. I think
Mm-hmm.
they sent me admission later. And when they sent me the admission later, that was when I started the process of like applying for visa. And applying for visa was the worst one because I didn't know anything about it. And there was someone that knew something about it, but he was taking a lot of money from people.
Mm-hmm.
And most people were like, oh, go meet him or go meet him. He's
Mm-hmm.
gonna help you. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do this on my own. So I just sat down, took my dad's beat up HP laptop that was like from the 90s.
You're like,
And
we have to figure this out.
yeah, and then he had this modem that he didn't use anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
grabbed it, but at time I had this Etisalat line and I cut it. So the Etisalat line couldn't fit in the modem. I had to use my hand to cut it myself.
So it would fit, so you can connect to the internet to
Yeah,
complete the application.
yeah, and I did the application myself and I went for my interview. Um, it was life-changing for me because at that moment I didn't know if I was ever gonna get it. Because the person in front of me was asked this, I can remember this question, what was your study plan? And the person was saying 40 hours, something 100 hours. And the moment I had the 600 hours, all I could think of was like, I can't even remember my study plan. That was what I was telling myself. I kept looking up. I didn't know when the guy finished and left. And the lady that was going to interview me, who was interviewing him, was waiting for me for like a couple of seconds. And then the guy close by me was like, Madam, na your turn, no? They say, Madam, na your turn. I said, oh, okay,
Mm.
mama. I came in and she asked me, what is your study plan? And I just told her computer. Then I came with computer engineering. I told her, oh, I'm studying computer engineering. She asked me what subjects I was going to take for my first semester. And I told her, and then she asked me like my parents' background and all that, and how I intend to come back. And I explained to her. That was it. She was like, okay, you can, your visa is approved. And I was like, okay. And I was still holding my passport. And she was holding my passport. So
Mhm.
she gave me the white paper. And when she told me the visa is approved, I was like, oh, I said, what did you say? She said, it's approved. I said, okay, thank you. She gave it to me. And then she was holding my passport.
That's the,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
like
"Ma, My
You have my
passport.
password?
She looked at me, she's like, oh, this is
Mm.
where we're gonna put the visa. I'm like, I'm like, oh, okay, you can have it.
Oh, so
And
that's
then
that's pretty neat. Like,
and she was like, that was where we're gonna put it. I'm like, oh, really? I was like, oh, thank you. And she was like, oh, it's fine, you can go. All the morning that I was sitting in the car that I was waiting for my time to get there, my appointment time, every single person that has come that and stood in front of the car because the car was tinted
mm,
was all talking about how they were denied. And I was already scared, like, what if I go in there and they're going to deny
mm,
me? So that means my dreams, my hopes, and everything
yeah,
it just ended that day.
yeah,
So it was that was the process. It was more of like more streamlined for me. I've seen other people tell me their story. It wasn't streamlined as
yeah,
mine was. It was like we had to go like 5 times, four
yeah,
times, but I don't know. It was just one time I went and it worked. And I don't know what I did good. Like most people ask me, some
yeah.
people will call me for their kids and be like, oh, what did you do? And I'm
What
like,
you do
this is what I
differently? They
did.
want,
I
yeah, they
don't
want
have
to know what you
like,
did
yeah,
differently. Yeah,
yeah. But there was nothing much I did differently than I did the work myself. Like
yeah,
I took the time to do the work. I didn't give it to someone to do
yeah.
it. I think if I would have given it to someone else to do it for me, then it would have been hard for me to kind of defend what I really wanted to go and do. So
Yep.
that was how it went.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing. So, what I hear you say is that you did a lot of the hard work, right? You did a lot of the hard moving. You completed your application by yourself, even though circumstances were, a little bit, but talk to friends, right? Ask them
Yeah,
how to go about this, and then you were able to grab the computers
yeah,
you did the preparation,
yeah,
prepared for your TOEFL exam, which is a test of English, right?
yeah,
And then you went to, take the exam. You did the admission application, and fortunately you got accepted into your program at BYUI. Um, and then you did the visa process by yourself, and I think that worked in your favor because if you're going to study abroad, then those are things that you should be able to figure out. And I think there's just like an added advantage when you complete the applications yourself. You know what's on the application, right?
yeah.
If somebody asks you like what's ABC, then so pretty cool. So you came from Nigeria, and then moved to Rexburg, Idaho. How was that? Like, how was the transition, from moving from Nigeria? Nigeria is warm, and it's sunny, it's shiny, like you can eat your akpu or your jollof rice or whatever it is that you enjoy, and then you move to Rexburg, Idaho, where the weather is just always crazy, and the food is not necessarily quite what you're used to. How
Yeah.
did you navigate that?
I think most of the things that comes with the food, I had a little bit idea of it because my dad used to work mostly with like the white missionaries.
Hmm.
But then coming to Rexburg itself, I didn't anticipate the amount of snow that I saw in my life. First, that was the first time I experienced something so crazy. Navigating that was one of the things that made me think. Sometimes I thought about like my decisions to go to Rexburg. Like,
Hmm.
there were other schools that I could go to. It would have taken me. It would have taken me more longer time to finish because of certain, financially and all that.
Hmm.
But then it would have been a different experience. But with Rexburg, I think the most challenging thing for me was the snow.
Hmm.
The snow wasn't fun at all. I
I
had
know.
to do I had to do early morning. I had to go to some buildings to clean it to make
Hmm.
money to go to
Hmm.
school.
Yeah.
And imagine waking up at 3 a.m.
Hmm.
and then you come out, it's snowing, it's windy, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
just brace through that, because if you don't get to like feed, you don't get to pay
Mm-hmm.
your rent, you don't get to
Mm-hmm.
do like a lot of things like essential needs as a human being.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the challenging things. But overall, I've always been someone. My dad loves to live in the rural areas, like somewhere that's so quiet, not a lot of like noise, not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like city life, but sometimes you come to the city life once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I was used to that kind of life, like being in a quiet place in my own
Yeah.
corner, doing my own thing wasn't a problem. The only problem I had was the cold.
Was a cold and the
Yeah,
snow. So
yeah.
you that's interesting. I did not like Rexburg. Like the weather was just, the weather was bipolar. And could be sunny 1 second, and the next
Yeah.
second is windy, and the next second is rainy, and the next second is snowy. So I totally I could relate.
I'll be
Yeah,
hating snowing all at once.
yeah, exactly. It's crazy. And you've mentioned that you had to go to work at 3 a.m. So you had a job while on campus, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
you worked as a custodian.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like. So um as somebody who had to, hustle, you use the word hustle, right? Work while on campus to,
Yeah.
just support yourself through school.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for, current internationals and other internationals then in terms of being able to, find jobs on campus, and just pulling through, if it has to be waking up at 3 a.m., to go do your shift so that you're able to, pay rent or, do other things that you need to do.
Okay, so finding a job for me, like it's for me, being independent is one thing. If you're someone who likes to, go down and get something for yourself, then you have to do anything that not the bad stuff, the good
Yeah.
stuff to get the money.
Not just anything, but
That's
it just, yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
matter what
like,
type of a job,
yeah,
not like what you were saying.
yeah. When I got on campus, there was this person that I met. One of the things the person told me, because the person helped me to get the custodian job,
Mm-hmm.
told me this, said, Grace, a lot of people, Africans, will come and then they want to work in like, the offices or
Mm-hmm.
something. He said, it doesn't matter where you're working.
Mm-hmm.
No one even needs to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing the right thing and making enough to, support yourself and not
Yeah.
depending on your parents to help you all through your,
Yeah.
college years, that would be of more advantage to you. So that stuck to me. So for me, go out, look for any job, like go on campus, offices, take a resume. When I
Mm-hmm.
first came, I didn't even know what a resume was. I had to Google it
Mm-hmm.
and write something out. And I think it's every single office that I could think of that
Yeah.
could hire me. I I went, so they have, some schools have like job boards for
Mhm.
students. So you can go on the job boards and figure out like things that like
What
jobs
jobs are available?
available online for you to go do. You can go into the office. Some of them will listen to you. Some of the hiring managers will tell you, oh, we have something and we'll let you know. Or they might even tell you, oh, we don't have anything now, but we'll keep your resume for the next semester. And most of them do give you a call back when the semester the current semester is about to end, and tell you, oh, we do have some openings. You can come in for interviews.
Yes.
As long as you're putting yourself out there on campus and telling people, hiring managers who are hiring students for certain position on campus, that you're available to work with them, most of them are very open to most people. Sometimes you might get the job on the spot. I've gotten a job on the spot. I saw this lady when I was doing early morning custodian, but then I realized they do evening custodial. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I think I prefer the evening one because I don't have to wake up by 3 a.m., get to work by 4, come back by
Mm-hmm.
7, have class at 9 a.m. I haven't even slept enough. I'm dozing off in class, where
Yep.
by the time it's 11 a.m. for my next class. So I saw this lady. She was a supervisor. She was wearing the supervisor clothes. I walked up to her and I asked her, ma'am, are you hiring? She tells
Mm-hmm.
me, no, I'm not hiring. And I was like, okay, if you're hiring, can I drop my number so that you can call me whenever you're hiring? And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can drop my number. I think there are other people who are hiring in this
Mm-hmm.
building. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I gave her my number. Nobody, the other people she gave my number to didn't call me. But I think a couple of days later, she calls me. She's like, oh, I'm hiring. Do you still want the job? I was like,
Yep.
yeah. She said, come to my office. So I go to her office and we have a little tete-a-tete, chat, chat,
Mm-hmm.
chat, chat. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, I have other people that I'm interviewing. I'll get back to you by the end of the week. I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was walking out, she rushed out of her office, storming down behind me, and I turned and I was like, did I forget something? She's like,
Something.
no,
Oh yeah.
you're hired. I
What?
just want to hire you. Hired.
That's that must be really cool. How did you feel? How did that make you feel?
Oh my God, I was so ecstatic. I was like, man, tomorrow is my last day waking
Mm,
up at 4 a.m. or doing anything. I was so excited. I was like, thank you. You will regret it. She's like, it's fine, it's fine. So
mm,
when we do start, okay, you have to give in your 2 weeks. So
mm,
within that two, I was like, oh, I can talk to my boss. My boss, then my early morning custodial boss was really nice. So he doesn't really care. He was like, oh yeah, Grace, if you feel like the early morning one is, hindering your studies, I'm not going to make you like
yeah,
keep doing it. Just, you are just switching over to the evening one. So
yeah.
it's not as if you're leaving department
That's yeah,
entirely.
yeah,
So it was like an easy transition from this one to this one. So putting yourself out there, not seeing yourself above any other person can give you the opportunities that you want. Like I've gotten jobs on campus because I went in and I talked to someone and someone was like, oh yeah, sure, let's hire this person. I
wow.
think the person, she would do a great job. So yeah, I feel like,
That's cool.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, you know, you've gone through the whole process of applying to study abroad, doing your, studying for your test of English, applying for your visa, like going through all of this process, even being on campus and trying to figure out how to get a job, and just surviving through all of these things, right? And I like that you've mentioned that, one of the best things that anybody can do for themselves while on campus is to just network, right? Go out of your way, don't feel too important that you have to get like the teaching assistant job or the customer support job, right? Just go out and talk to people, let people know you're available, you're ready to work, and just be proactive and take initiatives.
Yeah.
I like that. So, as a computer science, graduate, which is a very, very challenging program, what are some of the strategies that you use you know, um, to be successful at your education as an international student? Like some of us, when we come, like like when you relocate from Nigeria or from any other foreign country, really, the educational system, is different. The way people learn, the way people communicate, all of those things are different. And oftentimes it affects, how well one does with the education. So how were you able to balance, balance kind of like all of those changes and differences? And you mind sharing some strategies that you used?
Man, I was just my authentic self, the Igboti girl that I was from Aba, from Aba to be precise. Yeah, I feel like being your authentic self was one of the things that helped me. And when we first came here, most of my friends, before you knew it, everyone was given like accents, the American accent, you know. I mean, I was speaking my normal Igbo accent too. I said, good
From
morning,
Igbo
sir.
girl from Aba.
Good morning, sir. And then my friends would be like, Grace, why can't you, you know,
Mhm.
be like, oh, say the way they say. I'm like, I don't even know what. I get that they're speaking English. I understand what they're saying, but I can't figure it out yet. Let
Yeah.
me just take it, in a slow. But I will get there one day.
Yeah.
And navigating like everything here is you being yourself. Like, don't push yourself too much, because the moment you start pushing yourself too much, I've seen so many people that become overwhelmed about it. Like, you know, back home, you meet someone today, you are friends with a person, the next day
Mhm.
you guys keep, that friendship just keeps growing. Then
Mhm.
you come to somewhere that when you meet someone today, the next day you meet the person might even behave as if they don't know you,
Yeah.
or they can't even remember that you guys had a very good conversation like a couple of days ago. So it can be depressing. It can cause you to feel like, oh, am I welcomed here? Am I supposed to be here?
Mhm.
I'm is like you start questioning your worth as a student.
Yeah.
But then one thing I always told myself was I'm never going to let anyone downgrade my efforts to come to this country. So if you feel like you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to be
Mhm.
my friend because, sentiments that you,
Yeah. Any reasons or no reasons at all.
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So that is one thing I'll tell people. Like software engineering for me was like the first class was really good. Python, Code Academy. I have done Code Academy hundreds of times
Mm-hmm.
in my own spare time when I was in Nigeria. Like, I think after my high school years, my dad used to be like the area 70 whatever for family history. So at a point, he made it like a punishment, making me to go to the family history center, because that way I'm not home all alone doing something that he felt like I shouldn't be doing, which I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even doing.
Mm-hmm.
So he made it like I wake up in the morning, I do my chores,
Mm-hmm.
I head to the family history, and I'm there till like 5 p.m. helping people fill out their family history genealogical work online, and making sure everyone is able to take their names to the temple and everything. If people their names go to the temple and they come in to look for the names, I have to go to the temple, grab the paperwork and come
Mm-hmm.
back. I didn't mind doing that, but then when it was downtime, I could do anything on the internet.
Yeah.
I will always do Code Academy. I'll just sit there, play around with Python, C, CSS, HTML, just playing around with stuff. So when I started my first class, it was Code Academy. So I was good at it. I knew
Mm-hmm.
what to do. So it wasn't like I was learning something new. So, but then when we moved to the second year and they threw C++ at me, I I found out and I didn't even know what was going on anymore. It was like new
Yeah.
territory, new terrain. I couldn't figure it out that quick. My professor now started he wasn't picking on me like to make me look bad or look like I was dumb. He was trying to make it more that I was engaged in the class
Mm-hmm.
so that he can help me understand the workflow of the class more. So he always asks me questions. He will always ask me a question. He's like, so Grace, what do you think about this? So why
Mm-hmm.
did you make this, this implementation? What is your reasoning of thought and everything? And that helped me to understand it way, way better. Like if other people were doing A+, I was doing like C-,
Yeah.
but then I was putting in the work. I wasn't sleeping on myself, like saying, oh yeah, it's my first semester, I can just,
Yeah.
take time.
Yeah.
No, because I needed to understand the work
What's
first
going on?
as soon as I can, because the moment you keep lagging behind, the more, it becomes tiring. Like you'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should try something else. Maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do.
Thank
So I
you.
think that's just one thing, like find your rhythm, how you can learn faster. For me,
And then
putting
work twice as hard.
yes,
Not funny, but you need to put in, the extra efforts to be
yeah,
able to come out on top. So
yeah,
yeah, I like that. I like that. Sweet. So now that you're graduated and you've gone to, you're going to go for your master's.
Yeah.
You've had the experience of working. I assume you've had the experience of working at various, companies across the U.S. How's the experience like? How's the experience been?
It was it was good. I think I met most of the companies that I went to when I finished were like I met like good people who are willing to understand that, you know, this person is coming from this side of the world, they might not have the exposure that we have,
Mm-hmm.
but they are willing to put in their best work.
Mm-hmm.
So it
So a
was
quick step back, real quick. Any of the jobs you work with, any of them a result of like an internship or like a career fair from campus?
none of them were a result from internship or career fair. I never got did I get it. No, most of them
So,
were
so how did you
I
go about finding those jobs? How did you go about finding them? I guess that's a question before we get into the other side of
most times I applied online,
Okay.
Indeed, LinkedIn,
Okay.
and the school started paying for handshake,
Okay.
and
So
then I
you
used
use LinkedIn and then the handshake
Indeed.
that the school, whatever platform the school
Yeah,
provide. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
handshake, Indeed, and LinkedIn. And
Oh,
then I just go to the company site, like any company that interests me, I just go to their
mhm.
site and apply based on stuff. My first job after college was when I was driving. I was driving somewhere, picked up someone up, saw the name of the company, went home, did career.
Yeah.
And then I saw the opening and I applied. I was like, they might not even call me. That's
Hmm.
what I told myself. Then they called me on Monday. Like I applied on Friday. On Monday they called me and then we talked. Thursday they said I should go meet the manager.
Mm.
I met with the manager. The manager was like, oh, I have other people to talk
Interview.
to. That same Thursday, after I talked with him, he offered
Mm.
me the job.
That's interesting. So it's like you have a thing for, getting a job on the spot.
Well, I would say I have had my fair share of luck on that.
Yeah.
It's not like that every time. There are some times that you get like a frustrating, unfortunately, for
Yeah.
a couple of times before you get to the point where someone is willing to take like a chance on you.
Hmm.
But those moments do comes, those moments of setbacks also comes. They're like
Yeah.
wins and lose. There are times you win, you lose in this whole
Yeah.
professional career. So those are like places that I've done, how I've been able to like put myself out there is mostly applying on the company's website, using LinkedIn or Indeed or something. I've never found any job yet on Indeed. I'm still crossing my fingers that
One day.
I'll get my luck on that one.
Yeah.
But I've gotten a job from Handshake and LinkedIn. So
Okay. So put yourself out there, and one of the best ways to put yourself out there is, have an optimized LinkedIn account where like get some work experience, know what you're doing, get a optimized
yeah,
LinkedIn account.
I don't even work experience cannot even guarantee if you're gonna get the job. I just feel like being able to showcase yourself, like what you can give, what you bring to the team,
Put
is one.
your best foot forward. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
it's crazy. Like most people be like, oh yeah, when you have a good like perfect LinkedIn
Mhm.
page, they are gonna call you. Okay. Sometimes they even look at the LinkedIn page. What they are looking for is not there.
Not
So
there.
it's not even what they're looking for. It might be something else. It might be.
Yeah.
I feel like confidence and all that just comes with a lot of things that so many things comes with getting a job, but always have something to show for yourself that this is what I've been doing.
Hmm.
And when you're asked to talk about that stuff, be able to explain it
Yeah.
like you knew what
Like
you're
you know
doing at
exactly
the
what
end
you're
of the
talking about.
episode.
Yeah. I like that. So thank you very much, Grace. It's been really exciting, kind of like, chatting about your experience with, preparing to come study abroad in the US, how to prepare for to get lucky like you, just get a job offerings on the spot, right? And also being able to navigate kind of like, some of those not necessarily pleasant things that people need to do in terms of working hard, right? In terms of working hard on the education, working hard on your student jobs to help you pay some of the bills if you don't have a rich family that can pay for everything, right? And I
Yeah.
also like that, it's just the advice you give about, somebody just putting their best foot out there, looking for opportunities, identifying those opportunities and going after those opportunities. I think those are some quite amazing advice. In closing, I just wanted to ask if you have like any advice, to any international students or their families that are looking to, start the study abroad process, or even those that are already here and are wondering, what next, after graduation. Do you have any like word of wisdom, parting word of wisdom for this category of people?
Well, I don't have much to say. I'll just say, if you're someone who is trying to come here and you don't know the process and you're trying to get the ideas from other people, be 1000% involved, because the more involved that you are in it, the more easier for you to defend what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a parent, don't say, "Oh, I'm not used to tech."
Mm-hmm.
Try to ask your whoever your child, whoever it is,
Mm-hmm.
how is the process. Get to know more about it so that you yourself, you can be like, they know that they have someone to listen to them, like a listening ear, someone they can
Mm-hmm.
lean to when they are like overwhelmed with the whole process.
Yeah.
And if you're here, it's wild, but just keep pushing.
I like that. Just keep pushing. Yeah, it gets really rough. You need to just, you need to keep going. Well,
It doesn't it gets better over time. It might not
yeah,
get better over time, but you
you
just
just
gotta push it. Yeah.
gotta keep going. Well, thank you very much, Grace. I really appreciate the time. And, I loved hanging out with you and just talking about, studying abroad in the US and how you've been able to do this.
Mm.
Thanks for sharing your stories and for your word of admonitions. And I will see you next time, hopefully. All
Bye.
right. Bye for now.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.